Welcome back to the Anxiety Ridden Moms Club, Season 2, baby. We're still anxious, still thriving-ish, and this season, we're diving deep into one of the most complicated, beautiful, and straight-up messy parts of motherhood.
Relationships. The ones that lift us up, the ones that drain us, and the ones that change when motherhood hits like a wrecking ball.
From ride-or-die friendships to awkward playdate moms, from supportive partners to the ones who just don't get it, we're unpacking it all.
Because motherhood doesn't just reshape your body, it reshapes your people. And sometimes you outgrow folks. Sometimes you build a village you never had.
We're talking about boundaries, support systems, love languages, mom guilt, and learning to unapologetically put yourself first.
If your group chat is your therapy, if your toddler is your toxic coworker, or if your idea of date night is hiding in the pantry with snacks, this season is for you.
Let's talk about it. Let's laugh, cry, confess, and build this messy, anxious, loving village together. Welcome to Season 2 of the Anxiety Ridden Moms Club. Welcome back to the Anxiety Ridden Moms Club. I'm Kylie.
And I'm Gina.
We're so glad you're here. Today we're talking about something that's really personal, but so important: faith, spirituality, and community.
For so many moms, faith or spirituality is a grounding force. It's that anchor that helps us hold steady when anxiety feels like it's pulling us out to sea.
Yes, and faith doesn't look the same for everyone. For some, it's prayer or scripture. For others, it's meditation, gratitude practices, or just walking outside and feeling connected to something bigger.
The beauty is that it doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's a 5-second prayer while you buckle kids into car seats, or a deep breath before walking into a tough meeting.
Communities of faith can be incredible. They rally around you when your baby is born, when you're grieving, and when you just need someone to say, hey, you're not alone.
But we also want to acknowledge the flip side. Sometimes those same communities can add pressure, expectations to be more, do more, or look more put together than you feel.
And that's where boundaries matter. A healthy community reminds you that you belong even when you're messy, even when you miss weeks, even when your toddler is melting down in the back row. And I think that's so very, very, very important. It's just society and the expectations on everyone. And I do think that there is just an added pressure, all things faith and community and just fitting in. And what is somebody else going to think? And am I following the right rules? And it just, I don't know. It's faith, I think, is a very, very hot topic in our world today.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
You know, you and I have had lots of conversations in regards to the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And here at the Anxiety Ridden Moms Club, we talk about the tough things, the hard things. And when I put faith on the content schedule, it was actually before the conversations of Charlie kind of came up. But, you know, Gina, not to call you out or put you on the spot or anything, but your first, I think, response was, I don't want to do that one.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that one. Why did you feel that way?
Because to me, I feel like faith is so personal to each and every person. And I think that then on top of it being personal, then everybody critiques if they think what you're doing is right or wrong or indifferent. But everybody has their own spiritual journey. And I don't know, it makes it a tough subject, in my opinion, to open up about. I have many opinions. I've had many of different things happen throughout my lifetime when it came to religion. And not all of it has been positive, even though it's never stopped my beliefs. It's never changed how I believe, how I feel, none of that. But towards people and communicating about it, it definitely did change that a lot for me.
Did you go to Catholic school, or did I dream that?
I grew up Catholic. I didn't go to a Catholic school. I went to, though, so I was raised Catholic, but then by the time I was a junior, it was my for junior high. So I was going into 6th grade. The principal I had in elementary school, he was great. He was just one of the most wonderful people. And he actually was close to my parents. And so he was transferring over to a Lutheran school. And so he went to my parents and went to a couple other kids as well that were in our school and asked them to consider to have us follow him over to this high school. So we went over there and toured it, and it was a nice small Lutheran school. And I was a very, very, very shy kid. I always say I was painfully shy. It was horrible sometimes. So for me, it was a good fit. It was definitely much easier than probably sending me to the public junior high. I think I would have probably really struggled with doing that just emotionally. It just been a lot for me. But going over there was great. It was wonderful to be able to go to a nice small school. I love the school to no end. But when it came to religion, there were some differences. Obviously, just the Catholic to Lutheran, some of the ideas are different. I'm a kid, so I'm just open-minded to whatever. I mean, we're just, as far as I was concerned, talking about God, but not adults. They don't necessarily always look at it that way. So,
for sure. And I think part of the reason why we make such a good pair is that we push back on each other. And so I did push back on you on the faith topic and just said, and part of this, like the Anxiety Ridden Moms Club, obviously it's a community, but it's also a village. And so sometimes conversations that Gina and I have are that we don't want to be too political, or we don't want to be too, go one side or the other side, because we don't want there to be any sort of divide. We want all parents, moms, dads, everyone to be included in this village. So we want to be very cognizant of that and very careful as far as we don't want to push our beliefs on anyone. That's not what we're here to do by any means. But faith can be, I'm not going to sit here and read the gospel to you for the next 45 minutes by any means. But I think it's having an open discussion about what faith means to me, to you, to, it's not about which faith necessarily. It's just about believing in a greater power.
Yes.
And I have grown up Catholic my entire life. Shout out to Father Hembro that baptized my parents, married my parents, baptized me and my siblings, and married me. And he was, we had the same priest for our entire lives. And he was old. And when he passed away, boots on the ground, still working hard. We had a shift, but we've had lots of different priests in the meantime. And I feel like each one has their own personalities and different things, but like it's really interesting to me to see their different viewpoints on even the scriptures or the gospels or different things like that. And I feel like I've definitely taken a more, I don't know. What I'm trying to get at is that I was raised Catholic my entire life, and I would hate going to church on the weekends. Like it wasn't my favorite thing to do. And now as an adult, it's something that I find peace in, and it helps me get to that peaceful place, and it helps me prepare for the week ahead. And it helps me in my anxiety journey to put some of that on a greater power or a higher power.
Yes.
And so that's kind of what I wanted to focus the conversation around, is just whatever you believe in it. We're not trying to persuade you one way or another.
I think everybody has their own journey. And I think even that's the thing about when we were talking about this, like I wasn't a real, it's not my comfort zone to talk about it necessarily, but I do think that I would want everybody to know that everyone has their own journey, how it happened, when it happened, why it happened, you know what I mean? And I think though that the one thing I really truly do think is having God helps me with anxiety. So having that belief that you always know that he's there, he's around, and I can put some of that in his hands rather than taking it all on myself. And I think that that's why, I've had a very strong relationship with God. For anybody who has even any other beliefs of how they believe it or what their higher power is, I mean, I just think it's good to have, if you have a positive higher power, it's just such a positive thing to help you through just some horrible things that people have lived through in their lives. And you got to have something to help ease the pain and make you feel comfort. And
Absolutely.
like you can do things.
And I feel like my mind anyway, can absolutely race and overthink and go in circles. And sometimes just, giving it to God is what you have to do to get through the day, the week, the month, the situation, whatever it is. I've, growing up Catholic and going to a Catholic school, I probably took some of it for granted. I wish I would have paid attention more. I am still learning, and I'm definitely more interested in, I'm definitely just more interested in religion as a whole now that I'm older. And again, when we were prepping for this episode, this was all before, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And since that, I, feel like I'm definitely even rethinking my faith and how seriously I take my faith, because whether you're on the left, on the right, somewhere in the middle, in my opinion, to view someone like Charlie and how, what's the word I'm looking for? Adamant, or how driven by his faith he was, is truly incredible to me.
Yes.
And I look up to that in a way. Like I want to have a better relationship with God, and how do we get there?
So I think even with what you're just saying, when it comes to Charlie, I think it did the same thing for me. So my kids have listened to him on and off at times, and followed him. I have same. I mean, I've heard different things. I haven't been like an avid follower of him, but I have always heard different things. And I mean, you have to have a respect for anybody who has their beliefs, and that they're convicted in that. And I mean, I just think, and what he's convicted in is a positive thing in your life. I mean, how can you down somebody for believing in God and reading the Bible and following that, right? And so I think that for me, like I told you, I had a very good relationship with God, but not religion. So I'm not a church going person. It probably didn't help being that I went from Catholic, then you go to Lutheran, then everybody's got their opinions, and they almost kind of make you feel like negative about it. Like, well, if you're Catholic, that's not right. Well, if you're Lutheran, then that's not right. I mean, it's just all that stuff is just so. And when you really get down to it, the differences in the beliefs are not strong enough for somebody to have such, like, I don't know, judgment. And I think that that's the one thing that I always, through all the time, would always learn about stuff in the Bible or think about with God. And I always just think, I mean, the one thing is it's his job to judge, not ours. So it definitely turned me off more and more to people talking to me about religion, because I had a lot of times negative comments made about what maybe my belief was, but that's what you think it is. It's not what maybe, did you really even ask me what I really believe? You know what I mean? So I think he definitely has made me rethink the thought of maybe it's time that I just find a church that I like. I can tell you that probably won't be the easiest thing for me. I'm going to probably be pretty darn picky. I really have an idea in my head of what I want. I don't know if it exists, but if it does, I mean, I'll be there. And I would love to be a part of something, but I don't know. One thing I also is, even his pastor got up and said at his thing that, that he hasn't seen him hardly at all as far as being in church, because he's out traveling and doing all these different things. And it kind of also makes me remember, I believe I can pray to God wherever I'm at.
Absolutely.
I don't have to be in a church to do that. And I don't. I mean, I obviously haven't been in church in years. And but I just feel, I don't know. I just can tell you some of the things that have happened in my life. I know he's there. Like, I just know he's there. There's no doubt in my mind. And it's been a wonderful thing to have. But church, I don't know.
I think you have to find the right one, but I think you hit the nail on the head that a lot of times in these faith communities, they can be very judgmental, not even necessarily outside of, on different religions. And a lot of them are, like you said, very, very similar.
Yes.
There's just one or two small tweaks that they, some believe in saints, some don't believe in saints, some believe in the Holy Trinity, some don't. But at the end of the day, it is, again, just believing in something, a higher power. And, again, wherever you land, wherever you believe, it makes no difference. But I think that driving home that you don't have to be alone.
Yes.
And just, gosh, the judgment of it all. There have been times where, going through my divorce that I was hesitant to go to church or fearful to go to church because it was just me and the kids and it wasn't a family. And there's this whole like picture perfect of sitting in the pew with your family and that people are judging who you're with or not with or who's there or who's not there. Or were you there early? Were you there? What are you wearing? You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a lot of pressure just around all of that.
Yes.
And it is hard.
And then you're kind of like, I think that's the thing. Then it's, if you see somebody there, I don't know. There's so many variables to it. There's just so many variables to it because it's just people are people. And we've talked about before, that ultimately that, we should all be better to each other.
Absolutely.
We should all treat each other better. But I think the one main thing that people should stop doing is passing so much judgment. And especially when it comes to religion, I just think that that's personal. It's very personal. I even was talking to my husband. So, and at some point, I've said this several times, but would like to do a podcast just to tell the story of what happened to my husband for his heart attacks. But I can tell you that when I was, so just to get context, so just to start, at least everybody understands is that, so my husband, we were sleeping in a bed at that night and he had his heart attack and it woke me up because I heard a growling noise. So at that point in time, I had to get him off the bed, do CPR. Ambulance comes, they continue CPR. All these things happen, right? They send him in the ambulance to go to the hospital. And we can do details on all that later. But when he was at the hospital, it was hours before I got to see him, about 5 hours. And once I finally went and I saw him and we were sitting down and, sitting there with him for a little bit. And then she told me, she's like, okay, when we're going to get him to a room pretty soon, when we do that, then you'll be able to like spend more time. And when I got to that room, I sat down and I'm just sitting there maybe 10 minutes. And it was just me and his sister. And all I can tell you is it was like somebody was sitting with me and touching me. And it was very like calming. It was like something where you're like, but somebody's in this room right now. Like somebody's with me. Like, and I can tell you that I felt that in different times of him going through this long process. We were there for 3 weeks and it is 100% why I knew not when they asked me to stop care on him to not stop care on him. Just there was too many variables, which is why we'll go through that whole story. But I tell them all the time, I'm like, I'm just telling you, it's the weirdest thing. I mean, at one point in time, they had told me that, they're going to take him down and do a procedure. And they said, basically we had to have the what do they call the hospital? Chaplains. The chaplain come in. I didn't like them coming in because to me, they were just praying for his death. The entire time, it's all I heard was like death sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'd already told me he probably wasn't going to make it anyway. So at that time though, you go through this whole thing, everybody comes around him in the room, all that, everybody's crying. And then we walk out of the room and I all of a sudden just, again, you had this feeling and this total sense of like, everything's fine. I don't even have to worry about anything. Totally fine. And so that's why I guess I really, truly, I know that there is a higher power for sure. And there is somebody who is helped me and protected me and I can always give my trials and tribulations to him to help me with them. It's like, you're not supposed to pray for him to take care of something for you. You're supposed to pray for him to give you the strength for things. Pray for you to be more at peace with things. Pray for you to find ways to be more calm around other people. Pray, all those kinds of things. He's supposed to help you.
Somebody said you can pray for everything. Just don't pray for peace because you are not going to like what he puts you through to teach you
how to get to it,
how to be patient.
And that's the whole thing is usually what you pray for, you have to be taught how to do it, how to get to where you're at. And trust me, I am where I am today because I had to be taught lots of hard lessons.
For sure. No, I mean, Wyatt, when he was born in 2 pounds, 4 ounces, there was never a doubt in my mind. I think My mom obviously saw chest compressions on a 2-pound baby. And she might tell you differently, but there was never, ever, ever a doubt in my mind that he wasn't going to be okay. I just knew that he was going to be okay. And, nothing on this earth can give you that feeling.
No. No. And I do feel, and that's why, I do think that more people there's lots of people that don't believe in anything. And, sometimes I think it's worth them even just looking into, because there's something you get out of having that in your life, and that's why, I would tell anybody, I have a very, very, very strong faith. I just don't share and talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know. Too many people have too many different beliefs, and I don't judge anybody about whatever, how they want. Like, I think people judge, well, you don't go to church every week. Well, why don't you go to church every week? Or you showing up to church and they're like, well, you didn't see you last Sunday. Well, don't worry about if I'm here every Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, it's my relationship, not yours.
I remember, because like, as I mentioned, like through the divorce and things, that I was just like, there are so many, I just felt like eyes were always on me. And when I finally made my way back into church and regularly, my aunt's like, oh, one of my aunts, oh, the walls didn't cave in. And I'm like, you're really going to make me tell you to go, you know what, in church?
Well, I have told many people, the pews didn't start on fire when you sat down.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't burst into flames when you walked in. Like, no, I didn't. It's, yeah. After the recent events though, you did land in church. You did go to church.
I've got some looking to do. I have some looking to do. The church is a very nice church, but I definitely, it's like I say, I'm looking for something pretty specific.
Yeah. And everybody has their own. I remember, Brad's first or second time experience at my church. He was like, this is just not what I'm used to. Like, he is used to loud singing, dancing, carrying on. And that's not
the Catholic church.
That's not the Catholic church.
No.
And the more he's actually going to start some conversion classes. And I made him promise me that, like, this isn't for me. Like, I want this. This is not for Kylie. Like, this is Brad's journey. And Brad, that if this is something that you want to do, it's for you. And if you and I split up tomorrow, this is the decision that you would make. Like, I don't want it to have anything to do with me.
Right.
And he's made the decision to, go through the conversion classes and become Catholic. And so his initial reaction was like, this is not what I'm used to. And I think, I would say boring maybe is the word that he was like, what in the world? Like, definitely not as theatrical as maybe some of the churches he'd been to in the past.
Yep.
But yeah, he's made that.
That's awesome.
Made that decision. Yeah, you just got to find what works.
Yeah, what works best for you.
What works for you. But we're both challenging each other. We're going to start reading the Bible.
Yes.
As of when? When are we doing this?
It'll actually officially start for New Year's. It'll be starting in January. So we go through it for the year. Because I can say, honestly, God, I've gone through a lot of classes and talked a lot about religion just by even having junior high and high school, going through all the stuff that you had to go through and for Catholicism. And I know a lot of different things, but I never really read the Bible, never ever read it. And I really think it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting.
And not to keep kind of circling back to this, but I had never heard of Charlie Kirk until the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Never heard his name, never heard anything about him. If you recall, you text me in the middle of the workday and you're like, oh my gosh, like Charlie Kirk was just assassinated. And I said, who that? Like, have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
And so I did that deep dive and just his passion in general about what he believes. Again, not saying we believe one way or the other, but his passion in it and his conviction in it and all it's inspiring to me.
Yes. And I think that some of the stuff that they talk about is what I hope, and actually like Casey and I have talked about it. And he's like, even some of the stuff he talked about just for families, get back to like what the families, how they function, just like going to church and spending the quality time with their kids and doing some of the things that were, I don't know, made life a little easier. We've gotten so advanced, which is great, but sometimes it's made our lives more complicated. And he's like, I kind of want to live a little just simpler life. You know what I mean? Just simple, just make it more simple in a way.
For sure. And then it's just made me, I think that if you're not learning, you're dying. That's just my philosophy. Life is about growing. It's about learning. And I always want to learn more. And it can be freaking anything. Like it can be a Netflix series and I'm Googling where it was filmed and the places. Like I'm intrigued by a lot of things in life. And hearing some of the clips on social media and different things that Charlie spoke about, it's really made me want to kind of take a deep dive into religion. And, you know, I'm a very, very anxious person. And I think that it could help just ease my mind a little bit. And that's kind of where my journey, you know, is leading, is just to calm down. I'm not in charge of everything. There's someone that is,
right,
but it's not me.
Right.
And to learn to go with the flow a little bit more. And, you know,
and sometimes, you know, we all need help with all that. And I think that it's a good place to start to try to find some of that.
Hell, there's a line in the Bible about being submissive to your man. And I still scratch my head I don't know if I'm ever, like, I don't know. Here we go. We're learning all kinds of things.
But I think though, that's the thing, is I think that even some of that in the Bible that people have gotten away from, they kind of think of it as being like, I don't know, like men sometimes have taken it like the Bible's like, you know, well, hey, you're supposed to be submissive and obey me. Okay. That's not exactly, you know what I mean? It's not exactly kind of what that was meant to be like. And I think
everything can be taken out of context.
Yes. So I think it'll be very interesting. We have a lot to learn. I look forward to learning it. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find a church that I enjoy. I'm being very optimistic. I would like to find somewhere. I can guarantee if I even find one that I love, I probably won't be there every Sunday, but I would be happy if I can find a place that I don't know, gives me something else, maybe brings me more calm in my life.
I will give my mom credit where credit is due, but it was something that she said to me. And you sit here now and say, I don't know if I'll be there every Sunday, but like for me, it's the start of my week now. And I don't feel right not doing it. And it's something that I need in my life to remind me of the calm. And I swear to you, that the last couple of months, whatever the gospel's about, the sermon's about, like sometimes I think I am going to catch fire because it is exactly like what I'm going through in my life. And I'm like, oh my God, stop looking at me. What's happening? And I would be lying to say that I'm not like kicking Brad being like, do you hear that? Do you hear that? You know, so for me, it's something that drives me, and I do. I go 8:00 every Sunday, and it just kind of starts my day. We have an 11:15 too. And I'm like, I can't imagine starting my day at, you know, after that. But, it'll be.
And that's why for me, like, I hope I can get to that point. I hope I find somewhere I enjoy.
You got to find the place you
got to find the place I enjoy. It ain't going to happen overnight that I'm going to find. And it's not going to happen overnight that I'm going to just be like gung ho to every Sunday. I can tell you that. It's just because it's such a change of routine for me. So it'll take time, and I'm okay with that. But but hopefully it'll bring me something good. In the meantime, I do like every so often I would listen to Mark Driscoll. Did I ever send you him? Do you ever listen to him? I really like him. One reason I like him is he always will put up verses and then he discusses them, kind of tells a story about it, around it, tells you some stories from the Bible and explains things in layman's terms so that I understand it. So sometimes I'll listen to him and I really enjoy it. So there's things I've listened to at times. I just haven't attended, you know, to the actual place. And I even had told my husband, I'm like, seriously, if they had a place, I would probably get involved and do a lot of things, but they just have to they have to be the right place. And then I would be very supportive and look forward to growing my faith.
So if you're in the St. Charles, St. Peter's, St. Louis area, and you've got a good church, drop us a message, drop us a comment, and let us know if there's a church that Gina needs to
attend and try out.
I've
already kind of made a list about 5 so far that I know are on my list. I'll keep adding, but at this point I kind of have an idea of.
And we won't throw anyone under the bus. I don't know which church she did attend, but there was a PowerPoint involved. And I told her, I have never had a PowerPoint presentation at Mass, but that is a new.
Yeah, it was not. Here's the thing: there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place for everything, and that's not on Saturdays or Sundays when you're having a church service. Let's not talk about how you want to grow your church. Like did not set well. There were so many positive things, and sit down to listen. I was like, okay, like this is. I hope this is not what it normally is. And I'm sure it's not a typical PowerPoint about that, but I just don't think I've ever been to my church either in my life where I had to talk about how they were going to grow and where they're putting their money.
Make money.
I just don't think that's, and I understand the money is to grow their church, to do wonderful things. I get all that. But I just think those are when you call a church meeting for the people who, are involved in that church and then extend it to all of us to come. I think that's wonderful. And we can discuss all that of how we can grow and do great things. Don't do that during my service, or I probably am going to put you down a little lower on the list of coming back. But that doesn't mean I even say I have an open mind. It doesn't mean I wouldn't go back to that church at some point. I just know that I need to go on my journey to a few other churches first.
Maybe bad timing.
Maybe it was bad timing. And maybe I'll try another one over there again at some point, and we'll see what they give to me to see. But we'll see, because I also don't know. I think because I've had the Catholic and I've had the Lutheran, I've experienced both of those churches even, and they're different. I went to another friend's church where they did the dancing and the yelling and the stomping and you know what I mean? I've been to several different types of churches, and I like bits and pieces of them all, but it's just trying to figure out then which one kind of has a little bit of all that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I had one time I went to a Lutheran church with one of my friends. She was dying to take me for her Sunday, class or whatever. I needed to go. So I said, that's fine. No problem. So we went, I enjoyed whatever. When it was done, I asked the pastor that I was raised Catholic and we always hang up a crucifix. But I've noticed being in a Lutheran church, you hang up a cross. And he's like, yeah. I go, well, why? I don't know. I'm trying to learn. And he was not happy with me asking him that and told me that that's because Catholics want to dwell in his death. And we want to focus on his resurrection. And I was like, okay, I don't know why you're mad at me, but okay. I mean, it just made me feel awkward. So I had several just different instances where I felt like, I just think that's a good, I even still to this day would think that was a good question to ask, because that's the differences between churches, and that's what we have to learn. And I'm even looking into different things outside of those, you know what I mean? I want to go to non-denominational. I've looked a little bit in Presbyterians.
It's because you're intrigued and you're trying to learn. You're not questioning.
No.
And I think that
somebody's doing something wrong. I'm just curious.
I think that's the biggest piece, is that they think you're judging or you're questioning their faith or why they do things the way that they do, when really we're just being inquisitive.
Yeah. I just want to know. I'm trying to learn. And that's why I'm kind of looking forward to this next year, because I feel like I will learn a lot and understand that much more. So.
And see where it takes
us. And so hopefully that everybody else is maybe intrigued to get on their own journey as well.
For sure.
Faith can bring peace, but it can also bring questions. And I think it's important to say doubt is not failure. Doubt is part of being human.
Absolutely. You can hold both faith and questions. You can show up unsure, and that still counts. Sometimes the bravest thing we do is showing up even when we don't have all of the answers.
Giving ourselves that permission to be human, to be imperfect, that's where a lot of peace can come in.
Absolutely. If you can, pause with us, inhale deeply, exhale slowly.
Remind yourself, I don't have to carry this all by myself. Whether through faith, spirituality, or community, support is available to me.
Peace is not something far away.
Thank you for spending this time with us today.
We hope this conversation encourages you to lean into the practices and people that bring you the most peace.
And remember, peace is possible.
If no one's told you lately, let me be the one to say it. You're not failing, you're growing. You're not broken, you're becoming. And you're doing better than you think. Thanks for being here today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share it with another mom who might need to hear this. You can also connect with us on Facebook or TikTok at the ARMC. We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, give yourself grace, breathe deep, and remember, peace is possible.